like literally a few minutes before we met up here online, by found out the news that Blaxx passed away, by.
Right. Yeah, I heard he had some problems with
Yeah,
COVID.
I
I
heard
think he
that.
had COVID.
Yes, he did. He
Yeah,
was
I heard that. Yeah.
hospitalized for a while, man, and
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, well, the family just announced it. They issued a statement. So yeah, he passed away, man.
Wow.
This is truly a big loss as far as soca music goes, right? Again, this is yet another artist from Trinidad that I've never met before, man. But
Right.
for me, that just talking quickly, for me, I just always found his music to be so uplifting and optimistic, right? Like,
Yeah.
within the realm of soca, it's hard to kind of, like, at times, sorry to say this, at times it feels like, some music sounds like some songs sound similar to others, right? So it's kind of easy to get lost in clutter. But when it came to Blaxx, though, you knew it was him. You knew his voice. You knew his bang your belly. You knew that
Yeah.
intro, right? But that's like his vocals, his range and whatnot, and especially for a guy of his size and his age, though, was really amazing, right? Just putting out hits like, Spread Your Hands and Let Go. What is by is a ranking thing or what, right? I just quoting hooks, right? Not actual titles, right? Song titles. I Feel Like Hulk, which was a song that I actually admire too, right? I didn't think that, a soca artist would actually touch on a Marvel character. This was around the same time when I remember it was either Infinity War, or I think it was Infinity War. When Infinity War came out in 2018, that's when
Right.
he dropped that song. So I thought that was like a real big deal, you know what I mean? But yeah, he just brought so much. But for me, like what really stood to me is just the optimism, the positivity he brought to his music, right? Like his songs will always lift you up. They will always make you feel bright. They'll always make you feel happy. That's why his songs always play, even when it's not carnival, right? And that's why, like DJs will still run one of his old songs. Like, I still hear and Spread Your Hands and Let Go. Funny thing is, like, just to round up here, a few days ago, like a few mornings ago, I actually heard that song on radio, and for the life of me, I was telling myself, oh shit, I mean, he dead. But it was
Right.
just some DJ playing it, right? But that's just to show the testament of his music, man. But yeah, I mean, not much more I could say. Yeah, rest in peace, Blaxx, man. Your
Yeah.
music will live on, man. And it sucks too, because we didn't really get a carnival this year, man. But I know he was hospitalized during that time. But imagine if we had just gotten like just one more song from this guy this year. Maybe he did put out something, but for the life of me, maybe it just kind of flew past my radar, man. But yeah, we could have gotten one more classic out to this guy, man. But again, rest in peace, man. Ashton, you have anything to say on him?
Nah, yo, you know what? Blaxx was my kind of people in terms of he was a Juve man and I was a Juve guy. And he made music for us, you know what I mean? For plenty Juve people enjoy Blaxx's music and he will be missed. We truly feel that he will be missed by the community at large.
Indeed, man. Yeah. The soca community, I would say just the creative community, the arts community in Trinidad and Tobago gonna feel this one, but Ricardo, well, sorry to put you on spot, man, but anything you want to weigh in on this unfortunate loss here?
Yeah. And I was following the news about it. I was like, I'd keep popping up in what they call it, in Loop TT stuff now. I didn't think. I mean, I'm not too familiar with his material, to be honest. But yeah, I just couldn't. Yeah, it was well expected somewhat, but not at the same time. I didn't know it had been so soon. I thought you had time where you could have recovered from this one, but yeah, great loss, unfortunately. Yeah, so
Yeah. Indeed, man. Rest in peace, right? So keeping the rest in peace up a little bit, man. Now we're finally going to talk about Forever. This is the second and final studio album from one of the iconic members of the equally iconic A Tribe Called Quest group. That would be Phife Dawg, right? So just a little intro. Just want to do, and y'all could just kind of chime in on just your thoughts on just Phife Dawg and A Tribe Called Quest as a group, right? So for me, I would just say this right off the bat. A Tribe Called Quest remains my all-time favorite group, regardless of genre, right? I know it's a kind of a cheesy thing to say, but yeah, their music pretty much shaped me in terms of the way how I viewed music, right? Particularly jazz music, right? I would for me it's always like A Tribe Called Quest was just like the chill, groovy kind of side of me, while Wu-Tang Clan, right, which I have up there alongside A Tribe Called Quest, is the aggressive, I'm gonna kick your ass. I love kung fu flicks side of me, right? So it's just that duality that I love, boy. And it's even interesting too because Wu Tang actually put out their debut album on the same day that Tribe put out Midnight Marauders, their third studio album, which remains my all-time favorite album, right? It's really interesting too that Ashton is here on board, right? Because if you remember, a few years ago, how we actually met for the first time was through a little film screening that I had of just to commemorate the anniversaries of both albums. And in that process, I ran the Beats, Rhymes, and Life documentary that was made back in that was released in 2011, right? Which was about the group itself, right? But yeah, love the group, love their albums. But for me, it was just so I just felt it though, when well, I should say, I was excited actually to when I heard that the band was reunited one more time. That would be for their final album. That is, We Got It From Here. Thank You for Your Service, right, back in 2016. So yeah, I was excited as hell for it. I couldn't wait to hear the album. You were seeing both Q-Tip and Phife and Ali Shaheed Muhammad as well too, on stage doing their thing. I think they were on the Jimmy Kimmel show, I think it was, or one of those talk shows basically. But it had me excited, right? And then to hear now on March 22nd of that same year that Phife died, right? So we always knew back then that he had issues with diabetes, right? But just hearing that he passed away right before their final album came out, right? That really hurt me, boy. So that's just around things out. I don't want to talk too long on this, right? So basically on the night of his funeral, right? I remember just watching this random live stream. I was just able to find it online, right? And I watched everything, right? So at the very end of it, they actually released a single and a music video called Nutshell, right? This was a solo track from Phife Dawg, and we learned later on that this was going to be part of an album that he was working on, which is called Forever, right? But we had to wait literally like 6 years basically for this album to drop, right? And well, it finally came out, right? But it came out literally a day before the anniversary of his passing, man. And yeah, that's pretty much the intro, you know what I mean? So but before we get to basically what was just be like a quick track by track review of the album. Ashton, well, I mean, I know you're a big Wu-Tang head as well too, but I also know that you're a huge fan of A Tribe Called Quest, or at least I assume so. So yeah, what did their music mean to you? What did Phife's passing mean to you as well?
Well, to start off with, right, I don't know how many people are aware, but Phife is a Trinidadian, you know what I mean? So I always hold Phife in a real high regard as being a hero, He went out there, he did it. And he always represents his Trinidadian heritage in music, whether he drops a word here and there, whether he refers to Trinidad, whether he refers to artists from Trinidad, things that he's done. And yeah, man, I've always loved Tribers. Men that know me know I love Wu-Tang. Everybody know that.
Of course.
But also, I equally love Tribe as much as Wu-Tang. So much so that when I think about myself getting a tattoo, it's normally the Wu-Tang sign with the Tribe Called Quest color fade.
Nice.
Yeah, that's always been the ideal situation for me. Phife was a big deal to me, and like I said, a hero to me. And I missed him from day one. From he died, I was sad. But this album, anyway, we have a review of the album coming up, right? And I have my own thoughts on posthumous albums, So we'll discuss all of that as well. But yeah, right. R.I.P. Phife Dawg.
Yeah, R.I.P. to the 5-foot assassin, boy. Ricardo, well, I know you didn't listen to the album, but I mean, I know you know Tribe, I know you know Phife, right? So how did their music impact you, and in particular, did Phife's passing impact you?
Yeah, it was really sad to hear. I always knew you were sick. It's one of those things that you could, unfortunately, it come as they say. But yeah, again, much like with the recent Blaxx, I really didn't know it would have been as soon as it was. With that, especially right before his album come out. Like, oh damn, it's unfortunate. Yeah, him. I think what song it was that he revealed that he had diabetes and people didn't like he didn't
Oh,
think it was.
that was Oh My God, right?
Yeah.
With the funky diabetic line.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like, yeah, it's some long time he always had an issue, and then yeah, his health was up and down. In terms of like it's a hot minute until I knew until he was Trinidadian. Like it's like, oh yeah, right, he's a Trini, right? That was a little piece of information. But yeah, because I was more of a Q-Tip fan, to be honest, out of the three there.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's finding out. Oh yeah, right. Phife Dawg was Trini. That's a nice piece of a little piece of thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's really sad and unfortunate how things play out with him and how we never really had a chance to but just get a final hurrah. Especially with the album coming out and whatnot. Yeah, so that's how I feel about that.
All right, nice. Yeah, so basically what I'm gonna do from this point on is just do like a quick track by track review of this, right? So yeah, the album is called Forever. This is the second and final album from him. His previous album was called Ventilation, the LP, which came out in 2000, right? And just quickly on that, this was right after the group disbanded in '98 after the release of what we all thought was their final album, The Love Movement, right? And just reason being is because there was just basically infighting between Phife and Q-Tip, right? Basically Phife thought that they were done with After Marauders, but they just kept going on. And yeah, it's just that, just different, just conflicting views and whatnot. So they just decided to call it quits, right? But with this album, with that last album here, it was just basically like him wanted to be independent, just wanted to be as far away from the group as possible, right? He would even take like a couple of subliminal shots at Q-Tip as well too, right? But they've long since meet up and whatnot, right? Even though they've had some static over the 2000s, basically, when they went on tour, right? Well, the movie, the documentary goes way deeper into that, right? But just giving you all the cliff notes, right? And well, yeah, what I mean, they kind of had to make back up again for the final album, right? We got it from here, right? So yeah, basically, with Forever, right? After we get the intro, we get this first track, which is called Only a Coward. Ninth Wonder comes through with this, and by the way, in terms of guests, in terms of like performers, whether it's producers, DJs, and artists, I thought that the people that they picked for this, well chosen, man, because you could tell just even from production or from guest rappers and whatnot, they're either people who knew Phife when he was alive, like who actually like collaborated with him before, or were influenced by A Tribe Called Quest's style and sound, right? And when it comes to Ninth Wonder, if you know the group that he was a part of, that is Little Brother, yeah, they were you could say they are the children. You could say they are the children of A Tribe Called Quest in terms of their jazz rap style and sound and all that, right? But yeah, Ninth Wonder comes through with a really like chill beat here. And it just kind of puts you in the zone, man. And yeah, for me, it's one of my favorite beats here, right? But what I love about the album here too, it's what you call grown man rap music, right? So it's a man basically in his 40s, kind of just telling people within his same age bracket now who was wilding and all that kind of stuff back in the days. Yeah, kind of get your shit together and be more responsible, right? So that's like a major theme on this, right? So here he's talking about, well, he's basically talking to three parents. Well, actually, I would say a father, a mother, and a mother-to-be in a verse each, more or less criticizing them for their irresponsibility in their lives and the lives of their kids, right? Or in case any mother-to-be, her kids to be, right? So they all get themselves involved in dumb shit, and he's like, like he's just accusing each of them of being a coward, right? That they're not, in the sense that they're not handling their responsibilities, and they're not thinking about their kids' futures, right? Right? So solid track. I really love it though, and I would say, as far as like a lyrical perspective, boy, Phife really came through with this, but like because he is like the main rapper in this at all, in the first place, right? Yeah, he came through with some solid bars short, like, I always like to say that Q-Tip is the better rapper compared to Phife, right? But yeah, Phife always used to kind of push himself forward and really show his craft as well too. And here you really get to hear that, right? Ashton, if you want to, you could come in and see where you think about certain tracks, right? So if you have anything to say, let me know.
Yeah, yo, you kind of took the words out of my mouth by saying what you said about Forever. Forever is grown people grown man rap,
Yeah, grown man rap. Yeah.
matter, everything, At first I wasn't digging it, but then I was like, yo, this is different. This is a growth of Diggy. This is where he would have been with if he was alive,
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I kind of got into it after that, right? But it's all right. So like when Tribe dropped the album, right? We got from here, right? Even when they dropped tracks that Phife was on, I find like everything sounded incomplete. I feel like they only got so much of the recording and not much more, and it didn't hit all the way.
Okay.
It just hit, just hit kind of.
Right.
And that's how I feel about this album. Like, to me, it just kind of hit kind of, and Forever was like that. It didn't. It's a little hang up I have. Probably it's not so much the actual work or anything. It's probably just how I think about posthumous albums in general. But
Right. I understand, right? And it's only after the fact that I realized that like the ideas and some of the rhymes were more or less kind of cobbled together from years of work. Because Phife was working on this, I think, was for like about a decade before Tribe even decided to do this final album, right? So it may feel like, at times when you're listening, like, okay, like it feels like bits and pieces kind of put together. But I think for the most part, it does a great job. And that's the thing with posthumous albums to begin with, right? It's kind of taking the material that exists, that they have, that isn't released, and trying to make something work out of it, right? Ever so often you get a classic like, say, Mac Miller Circles, but ever so often you get trash like, that Juice WRLD, what it is, that Legends Never Die, the one that came out last year. I can't remember what it was, but I didn't bother to listen to it, right? Where it's like all these B-sides and throwaway tracks that they slap on a beat for,
Right.
that kind of thing. Not really a fan of that, right? But yeah, moving on with the album, right? So up next we have Fallback, which features McGill Rhapsody and Rennie Neufville, if I got the name wrong, forgive me. That continues the whole responsible parenting, but here he's rapping from his perspective. So he's talking about how far he'll go for his, to protect his family, make sure that they're safe, make sure that they're happy, how much he loves his wife, and yeah, he will. If anybody gets in the way between him and his wife, him and his family, yeah, shit will go down, right? Crisis, great producer, dope producer. He comes through with a really like nice laid back beat, very warm. It feels like the type of music you listen to when you're driving on a Sunday afternoon with your family, right? And also, McGill Rhapsody come true. She kill it as well too. She raps from the perspective of, well, technically Fife's wife. Talk about yeah, he likes this, but I like that. I mean, I'm willing to write for my day ones and all that kind of stuff, right? So you love that track. But in particular, why I want to zero in this is that there's a skit that follows afterwards, and if you're Trinidadian alone, right, you will love this skit trend. So it's basically this talk show, but it's basically a hip hop show hosted by a Trini, right? So you're hearing this man saying, yo, this is like the TNT hour, and he talking in like Trini slang now. And even Phife responding like, yeah, what going on, boy? You know what I mean? And it's just hearing Phife say that now. It's just like, well, what? You know what I mean? Trinidad represent. I love that, right? And that segues into Nutshell Part 2, which features Busta Rhymes and Redman, right? Now, for me, I love the original one, right? By the way, J Dilla, rest in peace to J. He did the beat for that, right? But I always felt like we could have gotten, both versions on the album, right? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, well, in terms of like a sequencing perspective, you might as well have the sequel, right? Because you're gonna have two versions of the same song on the album, because it's the same beat, right? So you might as well just pick the sequel and done, right? But other than that, though, this beat still knocks through. They basically use Fife's final verse on the original version, and then Busta Rhymes comes through. He does a verse. I mean, if he and Phife and Q-Tip are best buddies from long since
Oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God, and Scenario, right? And
Leaders
then
of the new
Redman.
school, baby. Leaders of the new school.
Yeah, that was gonna bring Leaders in the New School back in '91, right? Yeah. And Redman, I mean, they were fans for a long while too. He actually was on the Love Movement album back in '98, right? Yeah, and if Redman, he always comes loud, he always comes like really rowdy and all that kind of stuff, but it works, right? Love Redman on this track, right? And yeah, this song still works for me, right? I could kind of make the argument that it is better than the original one because of Busta and Redman's output, right? Up next, sorry, we have Sorry, which features V Rich. He's a singer. Um, and right off the gate, I knew I was gonna love this song the moment I heard like the hook from Donnell Jones, "Where I Wanna Be." Right, if you're a child of the late '90s, you know how big of a deal that song was. One of the best Quiet Storm songs ever, in my opinion. Right, Nuts comes through. He's to in terms of production, he comes through with this neo soul beat, which it has this like really rich neo soul vibe about it, and V Rich comes through with some graceful vocals throughout it, right? And well, here Phife is rapping about cheating on his wife. Well, not in real life, of course, but basically coming to terms with that, with his mistakes, and trying to contact his wife to apologize to her, but she just keeps she just never answered the phone, right? And the song brilliantly used this "We're sorry," being part of this this voice message thing. They kind of worked that into the production as well. So yeah, love this track. This is one of my favorites of this album, right? Up next, we have Dear Dilla Reprise. This features my boy Q-Tip, right? Now the thing is with this track, right? So back in 2014, this was one of the first. Well, I should say before the Tribe final album, right? I should say Phife actually put this track out by himself called Dear Dilla, right? Which was a tribute to J Dilla, right? But if you look at the video, the video is actually excellent in my opinion, right? He kind of compares his bout with diabetes to what Dilla was going through. Okay? He had this rare blood disease and it eventually killed him, right? The comparison and contrast that they do in that music video is excellent in my opinion, right? So basically, it's the same verses from that original version, but they changed the beat up, and the beat for this just sounds so heavenly and gorgeous and just so emotional, boy. And Q-Tip actually comes through with a hook. And it's funny too because in the intro, you hear like a phone conversation that he has now, where he's saying, "What chorus you want me to do?" And I thought that was like a really smart call, having Q-Tip just do hook duties instead of him doing a verse, right? So again, this is the Phife Dawg show. It's not the Q-Tip show, right? And you kind of have to respect that from an artistic perspective, because Tip could have easily come through the verse, but it's like, no, I'm just gonna do a hook, right? And the hook is really really nice though, very very heartfelt. Okay, they were fans of J Dilla, they were friends with J Dilla, and of course they make mention of the group Slum Village, of whom Dilla was a part of, right? So yeah, love this track, right? Up next we have Wow Factor, which features Misio of De La Soul, right? Crysis's beat on this track in particular, but it slaps too. I love the soulful chops here. I love the horns. I love the boom bap drums. I just love this beat, right? And Phife basically does something that you don't see many rappers do these days, right? Basically talk about the things that just spark a positive feeling out of him, right? So that's the things that make him say wow, right? So whether it's an artist's song or album, right? So he talks about Thriller and Purple Rain, an actor or actress that he admires, actress he actually calls out Sofia Vergara as someone that he just can't help but admire, right? Ultimately, though, I do wish that we got a verse from Misio, because he just there being the hype man here. But he was always like the fun-loving member of De La Soul anyway, right? So he does what he's supposed to do, right? But yeah, dope track, but the beat is what makes it work, right? Up next, we have Residual Curiosities. This features Lyric Jones. She's a Boston rapper / singer. I still have to listen to her Closer Than They Appear album, right? But, just time, right? But basically here she handles hook duties here. And just to touch on what Ashton said earlier, this is actually an old track. I believe it's from 2011 or something like that they actually like reworked and, put into this project here, right? But yeah, basically what he does here, and also there's this really like groovy neo soul beat here. So he's talking about just this chance encounter he has with this young woman and her friends during a tour that a tribe was part of years ago, right? And they remain friends over the years, but then one day he runs into a friend of hers, right, who tells her basically that she passed away. I wouldn't say how, right? It reminds me a lot like what Andrew 3000 did on the track, the art of storytelling, where he's talking about this girl that he was in love with, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna come through my show and all that kind of stuff. But then he learned that she was with this guy who was beating up on her, and then eventually she was found dead, right? So it's kind of like that, right? What the song really addresses is just, well, how people come and go in your life, right? And just the what is the reasoning behind this, right? How just interactions, just basic interactions, right? But there's also people who just kind of show up at the right time, though, and you just kind of help but wonder why, right? And it's even worse now, like when they go, you kind of wonder, well, what was the point then, right? So, I love how he touches on that, right? Up next, we have Godsend. This has this really soulful, really emotional driven beat. And here, Phife is more or less talking about just the specific memories during the 2000s, right? So if you're familiar with the movie, you'll pick up on certain things, right? So he talks about his wedding, the honeymoon he had in Tobago, how he dealt with G Dilla's death, reunited with Tribe on their tour in the 2000s, having to deal with diabetes, getting support from both friends and enemies, according to him, and finally getting a kidney donation from his wife, right? And they actually had that in the movie as well, right? And overall, how his family's love kept him centered through the ups and downs, right? And yeah, I would say this is one of the best songs in the album because of how, just how humble he sounds, how heartfelt he sounds, right? Just him recalling all these moments, him having to roll with the punches, and more or less just accepting these God-given blessings that will be stolen him, right? So, yeah, really, really, really love this song, right? We're almost done, guys. Yes, so don't worry, right? So up next we have Round Irving High School, right? This is a spoken word piece, basically, which is done by his mom, actually, Phife's mom. That would be Cheryl Boyce Taylor, right? Angela Winbush, right? It's a name that many people will know about, right? But if you're familiar with the Biggie song "I Love the Do," right, from Life After Death, right? The song that he did with Jeezy,
Right.
right? So the one who sings "I Love the Do" more than you know, right? Which is her more or less redoing a song that she did back in the 80s, right? But yeah, so she comes through and delivers some supportive vocals throughout this, right? And she actually say that she from Barbados, she a Bajan girl. I'm like, what? Okay, didn't know that, right? So look at that, right? And then, well, Cheryl having Trini roots as well too, so that's great. But I'll confess something, right? So going into this, I wasn't sure what to make of it, right? Because it was just a spoken word piece, but I wasn't sure where it was going, right? But then but it's something about that beat, boy, and then when you realize who she's talking about, right? Because yeah, it is a dedication to her son, man. I will lie to you, boy. Man, isn't it? It is actually the one song on this album that I have to purposefully skip, sorry, because yeah, if I listen to it again, boy, I'll just be a wrecker. Like it's just such a great eulogy to to Phife Dawg, man, and you just feel it with every second of the song, man. Totally love it, and it's even better now. Cause at the very end, you hear like this little audio recording that they did in past with Phife as a little boy, and his mom talking to him, boy, and like, whew, it's rough, boy. It's rough, right? Now we have French Kiss Troy, right? Troy, sorry, no, it's Choice. Yeah, French Kiss Choice, right? If I butchered the name wrong, forgive me, right? This features Redman and Illa G, right? So for
Right.
those
They
who
released
don't know,
this, eh?
yeah, they released this as a single and the video and whatnot, right? So for those who don't know, Illa G is the younger brother of G Dilla, right?
Right.
I would recommend checking out his debut album, Yancey Boys. If you're a Dilla fan, you will love this because it has like some of his best post-Slum Village instrumentation on it, right? But yeah, basically what this is just feel good, grown and sexy music, right? Which is dedicated to the women in Illa's, Phife's, and Redman's life, right? The beat is done by this Canadian production duo called Potato Head People. So yeah, which is a weird name, but I thought the beat that they do for this boy is so smooth, it's so chilled out, but it has this upbeatness about it. It has a kind of speciness as well, too, right? I could tell everybody having fun on this track, especially Redman, boy, who steals the show the only way he knows how, because he just comes through with a lot of humor, a lot of bombast in his lyrics, right? Leave it to a man like Redman to say, type of girl that will fart in the tub with children and still make it sound heartfelt and genuine, right? But yeah, dope track, love it. The video is great as well, and just two little just a little side note as well too, right? The girl who does the video, sorry, who does the portrait of Phife in the video, right? Who Illa J is hitting on. That is actually Illa's wife, right? And she has her stuff up. On her website. She actually is an artist. If you want to go on IG and see what she up to, you could see her stuff there as well, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, she had talent. I will give it that. She could draw, by so just the way that she do that portrait of Phife, that was great, right? Up next, we have To Live Forever, right? This features Pos, as in Pos the News from De La Soul, still one of the most underrated MCs ever, in my opinion. It has a little brother that would be Rapper Big Pooh and Fonte, right? So if you remember, it was the two of them and Ninth Wonder. They were the group, but Ninth left, so it's now the two of them, right? Whatever. And we have Darian Brockington, who does the hook for this, right? This is another tribute to Phife. So it's just basically all three rappers just sharing more or less celebrating their respective legacies, but also the legacy of Phife as well too. The beat for this is just so jazzy and laid back though, but it just adds this emotional gravitas to the song thread. So it's just a great song, right? And on the outro, we actually hear Phife talking about him basically talking about the care and effort that rappers should put into their music, right? Because yeah, it's really for the younger generation. They're gonna listen to it as well, right? So it can't just be about guns and drugs and partying and getting high and whatnot, but it has to be stuff that's gonna motivate them, that's gonna pick them up and keep ensure that they keep moving forward, right? So just some great words of wisdoms, man, right? So again, going back to the whole grown man stuff, right? And then last but not least, we have Forever, right? So you'll have to give me a few minutes for this because this is the final track, right? So this actually builds from the production of the intro track, right? So you hear this nice piano-driven beat here, but you actually hear it in full detail here, right? And I would say, hands down, this is one of the best send-off tracks to a deceased artist, or I should say to a retiring artist or whatever, that I've ever heard by. The beat is done by DJ Rasta Root, right? He is actually co-founder of this label called Smoking Needles. So it's him and Phife who more or less create the label, right? But yeah, his beat has this triumphant vibe to it. It's very anthemic as well. And it has this really clever sampling of both Andrew 2000 and ODB, right? I'm not going to tell you what the samples are, but if you look at the title, you can kind of figure it out, right? Because it's right there, right? What I love about this beat here is that it basically makes the listener treat Phife's death as something that we shouldn't really mourn over for the rest of our lives. This is more or less, a moment to celebrate his life, right? And what Phife does here is just basically reminiscing on his experiences with Tribe, right? It starts off with him with his passion of hip hop to when he put out the first album, and admittedly, he said that he will only appear on 4 tracks, which is true. He didn't really do much lyrically then. But when it came to the low end theory, it was like, yo, I need to step my game up. And that's exactly what he did. Because, yeah, one of the big highlights of that album was Phife Dawg and how he just stepped his game up, especially in terms of lyrics, right? In terms of his lyrics, right? And then, of course, he mentions Midnight Marauders and how big of a deal that was, right? And overall, though, you know what I mean? It was, for him, through it all, it was just all about bringing that realness back into hip-hop, right? He was never about that whack shit. If you remember from the remixes scenario, there's a famous line where he says, Vanilla Ice Platinum, that shit's ridiculous, right? So, yeah, he was always about just removing the whackness entirely from rap, making it pure, making it real, right? Something you could feel, right? But it's the 4th verse on this track here that truly closes the album off on a high note, right? So the beat cuts off, and because Phife is like, yeah, just cut this shit off, right? And then he just delivers this verse by where he acknowledges the negative reception that Beats, Rhymes, and Life and the Love Movement received when it came out, right? Compared to the previous 3 albums, right? As a fan, and I would say any Tribe Called Quest fan would still acknowledge those 2 albums, but they will always have them at the lowest, right? We always have it as just, not the worst thing they ever do, but just far from great, right? But yeah, him acknowledging the fact that they weren't good and him more or less attributed to, just the infighting, between him and Tip, and, just coming to terms with that, right? But, he thanks the fans for keeping the music alive, between the love movement, and we got it from here. And in this really cathartic moment, though, he just expresses his love for his Tribe members, right? Especially Q-Tip, right? And, it just feels thematically like these are the last words that we hear before he transitions, right? And then the beat comes in, you hear the final piano melodies just kind of symbolizing that moment. So for me, I just kind of read this his soul is finally at peace here and he can rest comfortably now. And just that moment and how the album just ends up, boy, it's hard to just leave that song unmoved, boy. And for me, if this is truly the last that we ever hear Phife, boy, And yeah, he certainly went out on a high note, but this is like the perfect song to pay, to send them off to. You know what I mean? It's just a perfect
Nice.
song, man. Can't praise this song enough. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. If you're a diehard Tribe Called Quest fan, you'll love this track, right? So I talked long enough about this album. For me, I was giving it some thought, right? I was wondering if I should give it a 4.5 because I only gave it like about a few listens by. But I'll just say right off the bat, this is a strong contender for album of the year for me. I absolutely love this album. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5, dude. Loved it, right? And I guess for me, my bias is just because I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I just love a Tribe Called Quest. That group meant so much to me, right? But just knowing that they were able to put together this album despite all the circumstances regarding his death, is just amazing to me, man. I would love to find out just the behind the scenes of how they were able to pull this off, though. But production work was solid from top to bottom. Who they got to work on production was great, right? Even getting guys from like Little Brother and Night Wonder, who you would say who you would say are inspired by a Tribe Called Quest was perfect. Having veterans like Redman and Buster come true, who are friends with Phife and Q-Tip and them. That was great as well, right? But just knowing that this is just as great and as perfect as a tribute to such a great artist, boy, yeah, I don't know, I just can't talk enough about this, man. So totally love this album. If you're a fan of Tribe, you need to listen to this. And of course, just in closing, this is hands down the best Phife Dawg album, I would say ever, right? Because yeah, Ventilation, the LP, not so much, but here, boy, this is a huge step up, man. So I talk about this long enough. Forever is a masterpiece in my opinion. Phife Dawg forever, Tribe Called Quest forever, man. Ashton, just want to say anything about the album and any ratings before we move on?
All right, so that that Phife Dawg album, I enjoyed it mainly because, as I said, he's a hero to me. And I feel if he was around, that album could have been even better. Because,
Of course.
yeah,
That's without saying. Yeah.
yeah, without him to kind of really direct the vision, I feel like the album suffered a little bit. But for nostalgic reasons and being a big Tribe head, I would allow it. It was all right. The album was all right to me. In fact,
Okay.
I only got halfway through before I said, you know what, I'm just gonna stop this for a little bit and pick this up later because I had some errands to do. And I was kind of just thinking about the album and nothing really stood out up until that point. But now that I've heard what you were saying about the album, I realized that maybe the good stuff was a little bit further down because, like I say, I like that adult vibe that he was going for too, and like I've changed kind of vibe, but it's not really what I like to hear per se,
Yeah, it's not something that you seek out. I
Yeah.
understand that. That's just like me too.
Like if it's gonna be conscious hip hop, it can be conscious hip hop, but it's not like parenting hip hop. You know what I mean? Like that's what I felt. I felt like he was trying to parent you a little bit as well. That's not really my kind of vibe. But all in all, from what I listened to, I would just rate the album 3 so far pending. You know what I mean? It could get better. It could stay right there in my eyes, right? But
Sure,
so far, it's a 3 for me. Three mics. Yeah.
yeah, 3 mics. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 mics.
But I do recommend that you give it a full
So
listen.
listen through. Yeah. Well, I'm already like on the 5th track, so I'll just keep going down from there.
Yeah. But yeah, trust me, like I say, you will be moved by it. Especially like the more you dive in deep, like when you really like grasp what's going on, though, and just think about it from the sense that this more or less is the last time we're gonna hear this guy. Yeah. So yeah, But yeah, but for me, guys, just to reiterate, Phife Dawg Forever, sorry, is the real deal. By all means, definitely check this out, and y'all could expect this like I'm still hoping that we get more classics in this year. Like, Pusha still had to put some out, Kendrick still had to put some out. I don't know what will happen over the next set of months, right? But right now, this album is up there, man, and I can't be mad at that.